Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you're doing well. So, I was thinking about how many people say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only sent male prophets and messengers, and that proves that Islam doesn't need female scholars. And that it means that it's haram for Muslim women to talk about Islam publicly and gain an audience and become a teacher of Islam publicly. And what I found quite strange is that when I hear something like that, it makes me feel quite sad for Muslim women, because we have to have positive female role models. We have Maryam, we have the wives of the Prophet, yet the wives of the Prophet, peace be upon him, they were questioned about Islam, and there's always this debate about a wall between them and being veiled. Yet they were still asked questions about Islam. And Aisha had no children and was a widow for many years. So she wasn't stuffed in a cave and isolated. She used her brain to advise people who came to her, right? And I started noticing a pattern of like people who want to just, it really is true that there are some people who really don't think women have anything to teach. And there's a pattern there. And I just wonder, is it because of their local area, the women have such a low IQ that they really do believe that men can't learn anything from women and that women can only learn something from men? But when I think about truth and knowledge, I don't think that it's just found in only men, right? And for me in particular, when I was pregnant with my recent baby, isolating, so no college, no work, at home, pretty much every day, all night, right? A solid 9 months. And then with nursing, no college, no job, not free mixing, not going to anybody's house, just cooking, basically just being a homemaker, just staying home. So it's basically 2 solid years of isolation. And I think to myself, I love reading and learning. So when I read and learn, and it makes me happy and helps me to feel like I'm getting nearer to Allah, and I share that knowledge publicly, why would that be haram? It's very strange to me when people then get angry at Muslim sisters for having an online presence in the digital age. It's not like we're loitering in the marketplace and like moving like serpents and trying to stimulate men buying something in the store, right? We don't have these markets that are open and people selling goods, and we're not just standing by a food stand and being like, yes, look at me. It's like, what is actually happening there? Someone is talking about Islam, talking about political events. Maybe they're talking about pregnancy or taxes, something helpful and insightful. And they happen to be covered, and that's still not good enough. And it's strange that some men contend that if a man allows his woman to do educational material online, that makes him a youth beta cuck. And that he's not a real man because his woman is sharing educational knowledge online. That his manhood is how much his wife is erased and isolated. Because we have to recall within our minds the brokenness of so many families. Why do so many people turn to drugs and gangs? They don't have a community or family. There's not masjids in walking distance all over America. So people resort to the online age. And if everybody's honest, men like to see another man moving and wiggling about in a video, right? Talk radio is harder to listen to. There has to be some type of human being there. I mean, I've had some talk radio that they've done on like podcasts where you glance at them talking to each other, you get back to what you're doing, but you see the face and you're able to connect to at least the human being on the screen. But if it's like if a sister can only just type articles and she's using a pseudonym, it's a lot harder to form a connection with that person because it's just text on a screen. It's not really like that person almost, you don't even know if they're real. They could be totally AI, right? And how do you trust this person to get knowledge from? You can't, like the human experience of hearing someone's voice, learning their mannerisms, how they talk, their history, where they came from. This actually helps you to judge their character, get to know them, and see if there's someone who you can connect with when you need advice and life advice. And there is a lot of people who have mother trauma and need grandmothers in their lives, and Muslim women have to have a role. Muslim women are like a walking form of dawah. I don't see why it's a net negative to Islam if there's educated Muslim sisters online. Because if you don't have women studying the deen in the good way, you're going to have the liberal reformist feminists giving a bastardized version of Islam. And if you are so like no hijabi is ever going to be good enough, right? That how is that like a winning strategy? And how does that make sense then if the wives of the Prophet were, peace be upon him, were asked questions, right? How do we know if Fatima didn't give, conversational education about her father to people? This is where we need to study Islamic history. Like, did Islamic empires have female teachers, or was all females never worked and they never were teachers and they were never consulted for anything? Like women teaching chemistry, sewing, tailoring, animal husbandry, like women have things they have to do. Why is it that it's somehow like her being disobedient if she shares that knowledge with the world and shows just her eyes and her outline on camera? Like, why is that bad? That's not displaying ourselves, because you're not in a thong on a stage getting dollar bills thrown at you, right? You're not prostituting yourself on the street corner in a miniskirt and high heels. That's displaying yourself to be, driven at. Like, why does it violate hijab if a woman shows her face and she's like 50 years old and she's teaching somebody about algebra? Like, she's a tutor at a college. Like, I don't see, I just don't understand, like, what are you going to do with all the women? And this is where I think, like, mental health comes into play here. Like, I've given lots of tips and an honest, real perspective of how women can avoid boredom, isolation, and drug abuse from being inside all the time. You say women don't leave your homes. If a woman is stuck inside an apartment, I mean, the depression and the sedentary lifestyle is really hard on the soul. And then these men complain that their women get fat and that they are like not taking care of themselves. Is because you're not looking at the mental health aspect. And I'm wondering, like, there's some pieces of the puzzle missing here. It's like if you live in a farm in a rural area and your wife stays home, she can go outside to the chicken coop, she can go in her garden, she can go fishing. Maybe you got a lake nearby and she's with her mahram or whatever. But if you're in New York City on the 5th floor of an apartment building, You don't even got a balcony. Your apartment is super small, Harry Potter sized closet, right? And you are literally in there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Your only access to the outside world is the internet, realm. So you don't really, there's no masjid by you. Now you have no contact with female sisters. And if they seek out a Muslim woman online to listen to connect with their female nature, to give them advice on female consciousness and just want to hear a woman's perspective about Islam, suddenly that becomes something bad and a fitna? I don't know how that makes sense. It's just strange to me. You just get, and when you question this stuff as a woman, you just get a lot of threats from men. You get a lot of angry, visceral, like they think you're like a feminist, like they want to hurt you, they insult you, they degrade you, they call you like an innovator, they do takfir on you, they call you disobedient, they insult your husband, but they never really get to the nitty-gritty of the raw reality of what would the world look like and what would women do? What does mental health care look like? What is it? Because the whole prison example, what is a prison, right? Isolation is a torture tactic, right? Humans need contact with the outside world. So if women can't leave their house without a male escort, they can't even, and they say, oh, we don't need shehas. That's, they don't need to study Islam. They just need to take care of the kids. A woman has to have a break from the children. And remember, she's not only a mother, she's a woman. So she has to have time to groom herself, to have time to reflect. Otherwise, she can go crazy. Like, there's a lot of women who go really nuts in postpartum depression. It's not just, you can't just tell someone who's really struggling with dark thoughts, just have patience, just have patience. Sometimes they need a woman to come in and give advice. It's hard to take advice from a woman who you don't know. If she's got no posts on social media, no profile picture, an anonymous account, you don't know who she is, and she's reaching out to you, who the hell is she? And why would you trust someone who's just like, I'm supposedly a Muslim, and I'm a sincere advisor, and now listen to me lecture you about what you should do? You don't know this person. You can't just take advice from any woman. So if a woman starts to get known in her community, and in the age of social media, someone starts posting her and she does a little bit of dawah here and there, I don't see how that's something evil. Now, yes, there's women who have failed miserably and they have been irresponsible, but I would say there's not that many Muslim women online who are doing like educational Islamic material. So there's more men, and there's more men who create bigger of a fitna. So if you were to apply that standard to women and then apply it to the men, you'd be like, hey, there's a lot of men out there causing fitna. Does that then mean, that you have to not talk about Islam at all? If you're a man, if you don't have 20 years of education in an Islamic university? Because even if you can share someone like a hadith or something, or just what you know basically, that can make someone's curiosity grow about Islam. I just don't understand. I'm not making the connection here. If it's a slippery slope fallacy type of argument, where if you let women start talking about Islam, you're going to get lesbians or something as imams, like, yes, that can be a problem, but just fix that problem. But if you have a woman who's like, you know what, I really enjoy learning about Islam, and I'm gonna share what I learn and help people, like, just gonna do, that's gonna just what we want to do. Like, I don't see, you say, well, there's enough men to do it. Why is it, like, if a woman's 50 years old and she's giving some grandmotherly advice to a man who's 20, how is that a fitna? But a man who's 30 giving dawah to 16-year-old girls isn't a fitna. I don't get it. You can get down to the fitra argument, human nature. you know. But then you can go further. There's been men who have assaulted little boys, right? So, and there's gay men who have done things with brothers. So in the end, is it really about the gender, or is it just about the immorality risks? But you can't really escape immorality risks. You can do your best to curtail it, to work on it, but at the end of the day, there's going to be an amount of sin no matter what. But why does that then mean that if a woman studies Islam and then wants to spread it online in a digital age where it can reach people all over the world, why then is that like seen as something bad? I don't really get it. You know, why discourage Muslim women from studying and talking about Islam online? I don't get that. Because if you leave, the Christians are working on theirs, and you have the occultists are doing their thing, you're letting them get the digital hegemony. That's what I don't understand. It's almost like being a little bit out of touch for the age we live in. No, people don't gather in a public forum anymore. They don't visit their neighbors. Families live across the country. So some people don't even live in the same city as their families. So we're atomized and isolated, and people go into the digital space in order to connect with people. That's just the way it is for now. So it would be better for the women who actually have, like, they're learning, they're doing their best, it's sincere, and they're sharing their wisdom. I think that's a good thing. Why would I want to discourage that? If you completely erase all Muslim women from online, like, how do you have a positive female role model for Muslim women? A man cannot connect with my femininity. Okay? And I cannot connect with someone who I cannot see, like, who they are. You're just some person. I don't do that. I don't like that. That's suspect. You know, that's how you get scammers and phishing hackers, and all kinds of con artists. I don't trust that. There's too much technology now for chatbots, and, you know, they gain your trust just to send you a corrupted link and then phish you. It don't make sense to me. I don't see, like, and if you're saying, like, oh, sisters only in person, okay. But at the same time, imagine having more Muslim women whose kids are grown and they're, like, teaching in public schools. Like, Muslim women being present in society is a form of dawah in and of itself. I never see anybody question these scholars when they give these fatwas. Like, it's just a long list of haram, 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 and it makes a woman feel confined. Like, okay, it's like everything is haram, but you're not giving me a solution. This job's haram, this job's haram, this job's haram. Like, having social media is haram. Having, you know, even if you have a burqa on and you have a profile pic, that's haram. Like, taking pictures together with your family is haram. Having your picture on a poster next to a man's is haram. It's like, okay, can you say what is, give them the halal solution for the world we live in now. That doesn't, I'm not saying be a reformist. I'm saying, okay, you have people learning online, right? If all, like, why is it okay for Muslim girls to learn from non-Muslim women, but it's bad if they learn from Muslim women in a school setting? Why is that bad? Some people will have children who are grown up. Some people will only want one child or two child, and some people will work, some won't. Like, why is it bad for a woman to say, you know what, I really want to be a great scholar of Islam. I want to dedicate my life to it, and I want to learn, and I want to spread that knowledge, and then they just do that online. I don't see how that's, like, bad. If she falls into sin, that's something that can happen the same with brothers. Brothers having influxes of women flooding their, DMs. asking questions like over and over and over. Some women, they'll like a male dai and they'll just literally spam him with questions just so they can keep his attention and slowly form a bond over time. You know? There's ways men get tempted as well. I just don't get it. Just because there was only male prophets, how does that then translate to women cannot talk about Islam publicly at all whatsoever? Like, of course, a Muslim woman, if she sits down and gives dawah to a very handsome man, that's a situation where you could say, you know what, let me refer you to a brother. But if it's like the woman's 50 years old and there's like a 15-year-old boy asking her a question about Islam, like, why is that somehow, like, she studied, she learned, now she's giving him some type of mini dawah for like 10 minutes. Why is that then bad? Don't little boys need to see positive Muslimas so that they know what to look for in a woman? Because there's a lot of reverts who are the only Muslims in their family, like myself. I don't have any positive female Muslim in my physical life. It's only digital. And it's only two sisters. Sister Samara of the Niqabi Diaries and Aisha Murray of the Scottish Revert channel, right? But they're in the digital space. I have none in physical life. And how am I supposed to, like, put my kids aside and go hunting for a Muslim sister who is like the level of Dr. Salih Fawzan? Okay, so what are my options? To go to the digital realm. Oh, but there are none. Okay. Now I gotta go to a Christian. I gotta go to Jehovah's Witness. I gotta go to some other woman because they're actually online there. You got red pill ladies out there pumping out their propaganda. You got occultists, you got degenerates like all these female rappers. You're letting them saturate the market and put the candy in front of your children on the screens. You're not going to escape the screens. You're not. So your solution is remove Muslim women influence even more. Replace Muslim women with degenerates. Erase the female role model archetype. Replace it with men. I don't need to imitate a man. How am I going to learn about the struggles of femaleness, of Muslim female life from a man? The Prophet, peace be upon him, gave advice to women. He isn't here now. In real life, you need someone to talk to. We don't have a lot of material about Fatima or Zainab or Khadija or Habiba. We don't, or Maymuna. We don't have it. They didn't write volumes of books about diaries that gave us a bunch of life advice, philosophical works on their existence. We have very few. What are we supposed to do? So, if we don't have female elders who can be the grandmothers of the Ummah, who can replace the moms in our lives, we are lacking. How does that make us stronger? I'm really struggling here to identify it because it seems like, why is the perfect woman a mute, isolated, and invisible? I'm not saying be a CEO, boss babe, competing in a Fortune 500 company and having a, being a Tommy Lauren or an Ann Coulter. That's not what I'm saying. Or a Megyn Kelly. I'm not saying that. But you need to, like, a woman, like, why is it okay for men to say we need to be masculine examples for young men? We need to push masculinity on them. But then on the same note, say women do not need to see a educated female Muslims online. I don't get that. Why is it that women don't need positive role models, but only boys do? I cannot learn from a drag queen. I cannot learn from the gay man. They cannot teach me how to be a woman. There are lots of kids in foster care, orphans, and reverts who are not able to access physical people and drive, an hour away to go to a masjid, or even at their local masjid. Not everyone is sociable. Sorry. Some Muslim women, they don't get the time to give you the time of day. But in the digital sphere, there's people who can make a connection. And you should not make connections with anonymous people online. That's not safe. You don't know where their knowledge is coming from. You don't know their intentions. They literally could just be a cult. You don't know what they're up to. Alright? If someone has a public profile with a record that you can verify, you can get to know them, see where they're coming from, see their history. They may understand you. A Japanese Muslim woman is going to know a little bit about how it's like to be a Japanese Muslim woman, ain't it? In America, we have a very unique hardship that is different than someone in Bangladesh, someone in China, someone in Kenya. We have similarities that overlap, but we have particular unique situations that we need a woman to show us how to navigate that. A man from his pulpit who doesn't understand our experience and condition he can give us some general advice, but he doesn't understand what we're going through. I cannot understand the angst of an angry teenage boy. I can kind of relate, talk to my brothers, right? Hey, what is this like? Blah, blah. But I'm a woman, I'm a mom, I'm sorry, you're going to have to find a brother to help you. Now, the brothers will have access to unlimited male examples online, okay? Who are having all their stuff on there. A woman, though, somehow she's being a fitna maker if she has, just normal stuff on her profile. If you want to make an argument for women who do makeup videos, or they wear, sexy clothes and don't really wear hijab, but they call themselves Muslims, okay, make an argument against those women. But if you are just getting mad that a woman is talking about Islam online, and she's sharing her journey, and she's trying to help people turn to Islam, and you're making that seem like it's a deviant, evil, thing, I don't get it. I really don't. I can't name one female Muslim scholar. There's one on this one Islamic educational channel I follow. She's got 2,000 followers, but her videos are sometimes hard to watch because it's just the voice, and I don't know what she looks like, and it's harder to connect, and you can't see how her eyes are. You can't even see her body language. I can't read her. Is this even a real person? Is this just an AI voiced over? Who is this person? What's going on here? So much harder to connect with that. Yet, I can find endless Christian women right now who would be right there with lots of knowledge. Old ladies with tons of knowledge. How do the Muslim brothers not see how that's a problem? You're leaving women hanging. You're leaving them with dents. You're not helping them to excel. Okay? I have to be able to trust a sister before I start taking knowledge from her. Okay? And the younger generations are online. Unless there's a solar flare that makes all this technology go away, the youth are not looking for brick and mortar places. They don't have the time as well. They're going into the digital sphere. How do you prove who you are in the digital sphere is your track record, right? So, you need to have an online presence. Proof is in the pudding. There's a way to do it. Why not teach sisters a good way to do social media navigation, right? The ethics of being a Muslim woman online. How do you navigate that space in the most Sharia compliant way? That would be very educational, actually. Way healthier than just telling them, even if you're in a burqa, you can't be online. And if your husband allows you to be online, he's a weak man. It's What? What? Like, there are some women, you know, they have no interest in talking about Islam online. And maybe they barely study in their own life and they have things they're into, right? But why is the woman who wants to do educational things bad? So you would prefer she not share the knowledge she's gained and add knowledge to the world, but to instead just keep it to herself, not talk about it, and maybe hope someone in the grocery store asks her about Islam for like 2 minutes. I just feel like how do I put it? I don't see the Islamic sources for it either. I've read thousands of hadiths. Like, if you're hanging out in the marketplace jiggling your boobs, booty shaking and twerking, that's haram. But if a woman is recording stuff and uploading it to YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, you name it, or has her own website, and she's covered, and she's not showing cleavage or her waist, you know, or has like a bunch of makeup on, and she's just keeping it raw, keeping it real, trying to come up with solutions for people, talking about important issues that the Ummah faces. Why is that bad? Why is that bad? I don't understand. Why do some of these brothers, like, did they fear their woman gaining some knowledge? If a woman's gonna cheat on you and leave you, she's gonna do that regardless of if she has an online profile. Okay? If that's what's written for you, that's what's written for you. Yes, she tries to avoid temptation, but she could literally go to the grocery store without you, and some guy can try to make eye contact with her over and over, and, you know, he walks past her, he works as a cashier, who knows? I mean, if people wrote books about how cheating started, we'd be so surprised how that occurred. Okay, and some women are stronger than others, I get it. But there's an etiquette for sure that women can do online. Why not teach women the etiquette of being online? Why just insult the women and call them bad, insult their husbands, call them, you know, be the innovators, doing takfir? Like, why? What? I don't get it. Because the fact of the matter is, if women are allowed to work in Islam, like if they're widows or their man is a bum, or they have to pay some healthcare bills or something happens, why is it okay for her to work in customer service, right? Or selling food or something, but it's haram for her to do a digital thing where she's not even in the same room as somebody who's watching the content. And she's literally maybe just talking about tajweed, like, you know, or tafsir, or maybe she's talking about the history of, you know, some country or whatever. Why is that bad? Men don't really, like, watch educational content from women. They consume content of the non-believer women who are showing everything. Right? There's very few female women online who are like Muslim academics. Very few. Okay. Who cover, who wear loose clothing, who are homemakers. There's such a tiny representation. And to want them to be gone isn't gonna stop the boss babes. And if you want to change the boss babes, they need to see, to see it is to believe it. They gotta see somebody doing the change. Right? That's why I share my journey. Like, you can see when I wasn't a Muslim, you can literally see the years of progress. Thousands of videos. That helps people to be like, hey, she's from my country. Hey, she didn't have a mom and dad. Hey, she left the gang life. Hey, she's an honor student. Hey, she did this. She's a mom, but she's still learning. Like, if she can do it, I can do it. That's a positive thing. How can anyone who calls himself intelligent deny how people can inspire others through actions and deeds? And if a woman cannot show actions and deeds in her community and only do it in a digital way, how can you therefore then say she shouldn't share it in a digital way when it can help people? If you have an issue with a particular person who's doing a particular thing, mention the thing, right? But why is it that, like, oh, brothers, don't share an eggplant emoji in your thumbnail. Don't talk about, no strings nikah. Like, the brothers will get really soft advice. Oh, Andrew Tate is good because, he's making more people talk about Islam when he's got bitches. Where he's got women, where he's got women in yachts and bikinis, right? But then he'll get, he's a new revert, he's helping, he's giving this a form of dawah, he's inspiring many men. But then there will be a sister, fully covered or showing her face, who's talking about something useful that has a utility. No lewdness, but she's bad now. What? So that woman is a fitna, but the famous former pimp is not a fitna. Just because he's a man. Do you see what I'm getting at here? It doesn't make sense. You say, oh, he's doing a fitna, but reverse need time, and okay. So Sneeko, being a Muslim, Fauzi, and Andrew Tate, those three men are able to talk about Islam, and they're learning a little bit. I get it. They're on their journey, but they're not a fitna. And Myron from Fresh and Fit claims to be a Muslim, preaches things heretical all the time. Those four dudes, they can have an online presence. They can mention Islam. Alright? They get every excuse in the book. But sisters who are, mashallah, just reading, talking about, everything halal, doing a little bit of hadith, tafsir, tajweed, Islamic history, cooking, motherhood, maybe they got some horses they're teaching you how to take care of, whatever. Now they're a fitna because they're online. What? That's violating hijab. But those brothers, they'll get every excuse in the book. I don't get it. Why is every excuse made for the male creators, but when women are proving themselves to be good, to have sincere intentions, adding educational stuff in the world, both un-Islamic and Islamic educational topics to the world for people to consume for free, ad-free, somehow they are bad and doing a bad deed, but the brothers who aren't doing that are okay. This is the vital question. And so that's what I'm trying to get at, is there has to be a balance and more like raw solutions. Because if you want to be battling in the culture war, you have to have solutions for those issues that arise up. People have to have a goalpost. They have to have a standard there that they can flock to, right? It's interesting. You don't see Muslim women in niqab and hijabs and burqas having debates with these feminists online. You don't see the representation. You only see Christians. So how are you going to win in the culture war? There's optics, Let me know what you think. This is a very I tried to condense it down as much because I could go on and on. But let me know what you think, because this is a topic that should be discussed. And if you'd like to join my blog, it's www.subscribestar.com/Milahan, guys. Hope to see you there. I'm going to spend time with the family now at their home.